Hello and welcome to Easy Gluten Free. Today I'm making a bread that's so good and so different than other gluten-free breads that you're not going to believe it. This very dense, crusty loaf of bread isn't made with one of those batter-like doughs that we all typically use when we enter the realm of gluten-free bread baking. This dough is actually so stiff that it might just burn out the motor of your KitchenAid if you don't do the kneading by hand. Alright, to make this bread, first fit a stand mixer with the paddle attachment so that you can combine the dry ingredients. Now, gluten-free bread isn't as simple as regular bread. Different flours have different flavors and properties that need to be combined to get a good result. The tapioca flour in the dough, for instance, will add some elasticity, and the sweet sorghum flour adds a flavor that I think most closely reminds me of wheat dough. Now, the yeast is a leavening agent, but beyond that, it adds a flavor quality that all good bread has in common. And the sugar helps to feed the yeast. And the salt keeps the bread from tasting flat. But it's the xanthan gum in the recipe that actually acts as the gluten or glue in the bread. And it's very important to thoroughly combine all the dry ingredients before adding any liquid to the mix. If you don't have that xanthan gum mixed well into the other flours, and there happens to be small collections of it somewhere throughout the mixture, once the liquid is added, those small pockets of xanthan gum will very likely absorb that liquid quickly and form almost rubber-like little balls within the bread. Now, beat together 3 eggs at room temperature, and if you forgot to take them out, you can just plunk them into some warm water for a few minutes. Now, continue mixing as you add the olive oil, a 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, a cup of warm water, and 2 teaspoons of cider vinegar. This is a common ingredient in gluten-free breads because the acidity of the vinegar helps to counteract the alkalinity that gluten-free flours typically bring to the mix. Okay, now once the wet mixture is all combined, pour it into the bowl of your mixer as it's running on low speed. And as soon as you have the wet and dry ingredients pretty well combined, stop the mixer and let the dough sit for about 2 minutes. Then turn it out onto your work surface and knead it for another 5 minutes just to make sure you have everything thoroughly combined. At this point, you're going to want to roll it out into about a 16-inch flattened log and place it onto a baking sheet lined with a silicone liner. Then use a sharp knife to cut diagonal slashes about every 2 inches across the top. Now cover it with a sheet of plastic wrap that you've sprayed with nonstick spray and then a kitchen towel. Then let the bread rest for 2 to 3 hours so the flavors can develop. Now bake the bread in a preheated 425-degree oven for 40 minutes or until it's golden brown, has a hollow sound when you tap it, and it reaches an internal temperature of just over 200 degrees. Then this delicious, fresh baked bread is ready to serve. Now, this bread doesn't have any preservatives, so to maintain the freshness, make sure to store the leftovers in a plastic bag and pop them in the freezer. And if you don't think you'll be serving it all at once, you might want to cut it into the portion sizes you think you might want, so you won't be struggling to saw through a dense frozen loaf of bread later. And if you'd like to print a copy of today's recipe, you could always visit my blog in the link below. And for more easy gluten-free recipes, don't forget to subscribe. See you again soon.